capital of Egypt is Cairo, home to the oldest wonder of the world. The Great Pyramid still lies at the heart of Egyptian culture. On the edge of the city lies the Giza Plateau, the site of a vast pyramid complex. Pyramids are the tombs of the pharaohs. Pointing to the heavens, they ensured the pharaoh's safe journey into the next world. The pharaoh was buried deep inside in a hidden tomb chamber. In death, as in life, he was worshipped, feared, and respected. Out of the 80 pyramids in ancient Egypt, the Great Pyramid is the largest. It was built in 2560 BC for the pharaoh Khufu. Like all pharaohs, Khufu was more than a king. The Egyptians believed he was the living image of a god come down to earth. The Great Pyramid is the largest stone structure in the world. It dwarfs all comparisons. Nearly as tall as the Washington Monument, 5 cathedrals can fit within it. Yet it was constructed without machinery or even iron tools. How were the ancient Egyptians able to build it? In the 5th century BC, the Greek historian Herodotus tried to find the answer. He gathered his information from the hearsay of local priests. The account he has left us is unreliable.
The pharaoh Khufu compelled his subjects to labor as slaves for his own advantage. Some were forced to drag blocks of stone from the quarries in the Arabian hills to the Nile. The work went on in 3 monthly shifts, 100,000 men in a shift.
The wickedness of Khufu is not something that you can regard, in Herodotus telling at any rate, as something which is hard historical fact. It is anything but that.
Herodotus's inaccuracies were exaggerated throughout the Christian era and later popularized by Hollywood.
Producers, when they make this type of movies, they showed slavery building the pyramid. You know, slavery can build a huge building, but it will never make anything genius. But if you do something with love and you believe that this is the tomb of the king who will be a god, you will do it.
Guaranteeing the successful passage of the pharaoh into the next world was every Egyptian's duty.
Peasantry was called up on national service to work on these things, because slaves, of course, were not involved. The Egyptians did not have, in the Greek or Roman sense, a slave system at all.
Although slavery didn't exist, workers were conscripted like an army. During the annual floods, farmers worked on the pyramids, which was preferable to going hungry.
For all its faults, the Egyptian governmental system was one of the most successful that human history has to show. It was a governmental system that lasted well in excess of 3,000 years. And systems will only last as long as there is a degree of acquiescence on the part of the subject peoples.
The Great Pyramid was built with over 2 million stone blocks. Building the pyramid was the greatest feat in architecture. But did it really take 100,000 men to build it? The Egyptians were practiced in pyramid building. Their production line ran highly efficiently. Instead of Herodotus's 100,000 slaves, only 20,000 laborers were used. In place of soldiers with whips, help was at hand to tend the sick and injured.
The Egyptian put doctors, physicians on the site to save the workmen because they found many workmen had broken hands. And they put wood to support the broken hands. Others had broken legs. We found that all the tombs of men and women, the skeletons, had a stress on their back because they were involved in moving heavy stuff. And they died during the construction of the pyramids.
The Giza Plateau was chosen as the site because of the quantity and quality of the building stone. The men lived here in laborers' quarters, their heads shaven to deter lice. Working in gangs, they hauled the stone blocks from the nearby quarry on sledges. An illustration from the tomb of a nobleman shows this process on a grand scale. A colossus being dragged along. Sleepers or runners were often set into the ground to reduce friction, but there were no rollers under the sledge.
I know that Hollywood, the Technicolor industry, is very keen on rollers. You can get lots of Israelites squashed under things like rollers, and it makes for good copy. But there's no sign of any roller at all. And standing on the knee, there is somebody clapping his hands and saying, as the Egyptian text indicates, Jehuti hoppe meri nesu, which is one Egyptian equivalent of what shall we do with the drunken sailor. It ensures that everybody pulls at the right time. It gives a rhythm to the whole operation.
The lower part of the Great Pyramid used the largest blocks, weighing 5 tons or more. Although a stone block was fitted into place every 2 minutes, the Great Pyramid took 23 years to build.
Provided the Egyptians had time, and provided they had their disciplined workforce and these techniques, they could achieve what they needed to achieve.
The ancient Egyptians set out the base like a compass. One side, aligned by the stars, runs north to south. With only geometry and rope to help them, it is baffling how they created a perfect square. Engineer Scott Steedman demonstrates one possible method for laying out a pyramid, which may have been used by the Egyptians 4,500 years ago.
One of the mysteries of the ancients is how they managed to survey structures as accurately as they did, as large as the pyramids in deserts just like this. There are a number of theories as to how they did it, but this is a simple way in which you can lay out a right angle. What we need is a little simple geometry and a piece of string. And what I want to do is to find the exact midpoint and mark it, and then we'll use that to lay out a right angle off our north-south line behind me. And here's the exact middle. I'm going to mark that with a green piece of twine because I need to find that.
With the string,